I will say let's start with Denmark. They're going to be horribly disappointed with the performance. My condolences to a certain Sir Patrick the Tall. But what is dead may never die, my friend, and rises again harder and stronger. G'day, salam alaikum, konnichiwa, and poitania, amigos. We are the Vassals of Kingsgrave, and we're back with another edition of Soccercast. Today, we'll take a look back at the wacky races, otherwise known as the World Cup group stage games. I'm your host, Pops, or Noah in real life, and joining me as always are my insightful and distinguished co-hosts, Bing.
Hey, this is Bing. This is formerly Schursteiner somewhere. Now just Bing.
And Bina.
Hey, Bina, 007, Guna.
All right. The games were kicked off with a truly bizarre speech by the talking testicle, that is the FIFA president. And ever since, it has been 11 days and 60 matches of genuinely exciting football, with the final 4 games to be played later today. So without further ado, let's get into it. And we start with Group A. And I think given we're heading into the knockout stages, probably best to do these in groups of 2 groups. So we have the Group A winners playing the runners-up of Group B and vice versa. So in Group A, we had the Netherlands top of their group in fairly underwhelming fashion, I must say, followed by the quite exciting Senegal. And in Group B, we had England finish first and the USA second, both remaining unbeaten. So, guys, where do we begin?
Do you want to talk about the groups, the teams that were eliminated first, to get them out of the way?
We can do. I do have a small, very soft spot in my heart for poor Wales.
Well, so do you want to do the Group A teams that got kicked out first?
We can indeed. Starting with the host and also the worst performing team.
I really want to get to this. Yeah,
one goal and 0 points.
Yeah, look, and it's not just the statistics. The raw statistics doesn't show well. They never competed. The first game against Ecuador, they might as well have lost 5 or 6. They just sucked. Against Senegal, they showed a little bit more life. They even scored a goal. It's kind of amazing.
They did, but I must say the defending for that first goal that Senegal scored was just Bambi on ice. It was ridiculous.
There have been tournaments previous to this World Cup in which Qatar actually looks like a decent team. Whatever happened in the run up to this tournament, but may have led a lot of these players to go out of form or whatever. It's hard given that they don't play competitive matches too often. Did you guys pay attention to the atmosphere of those Qatar games? The many other games were much louder. Qatar fans doesn't seem like they care that much about their own national team. And it's hard to play as a home team when your fans don't give a shit.
My husband, who's listening to this, is pointing out that the fans were also leaving at half time.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, the Iranian fans were also obviously pissed off with the regime and, conspicuously not doing the national anthem, but at least they stayed the full 90 minutes.
Right. Like Russia, whatever you want to say about Russia as a country, terrible. As a regime, even worse. Their fans stayed, and their fans got into that team and supported them, and they got pretty far because of that. Because Russia as a team wasn't actually very good in 2018, but they got to the quarterfinals. Even South Africa back in 2010, that team was completely outmatched. They beat France in the group stages because their fans cared. When you're the host and you're a country that doesn't actually have a lot of great football players on their own, you have to depend on your fans to get behind your team. But people in Qatar didn't give a fuck.
Almost as if the whole story of being a footballing nation was an utter sham.
Proud history of football and executing people.
History of whatever, right? You can now have like a long footballing history. Like look at the Japan fans. Japan doesn't have a long footballing history. The USA doesn't have a long footballing history, but our fans got into our team. And like and I'm sure in 2026 you'll see a huge turnout, and you see a lot of great supporters for
Yeah,
the USA and for Canada and
absolutely.
for Mexico. And Mexico goes without saying. It doesn't matter. People care if you need to have a good fan base right now to support
I mean,
that
look
team.
at
They
Wales,
don't.
right? Look
Yeah,
at Wales in this. In you know, they were obviously shit, but their fans turned up and gave it some welly. So there you go.
that matters. But yeah, so Qatar sucks.
Indeed.
Okay.
Ecuador, I feel like Ecuador had their hard done by.
Agreed.
Right. I picked them to go through, and they got very close. It was basically one goal at the end from Senegal by Koulibaly, so it was pretty razor edge. I think they lacked a little bit polish in the final third. They're completely dependent on Ener Valencia to score goals for 2 straight World Cups at this point. But I think that's a team that's, again, 4 years later, you'll probably see them again. Probably see them even stronger.
Footballing heritage in Ecuador. So, obviously there are big teams like, Brazil, Argentina, even Uruguay in the early days of the World Cup used to routinely win. What is the football heritage in Ecuador? Do they have a long heritage? I just feel like I've not heard of them before, but you watch a lot of the America's stuff, don't you, Bing?
I mean, they've made several World Cups before against much more fancy teams like Colombia and Chile and so on. I think with Ecuador, they have a huge advantage in their home stadium is located in highlands, so at high altitude. So they often can depend on that to win a lot of games. I think this specific Ecuador team, they won the recent South American youth championships. In fact, most of this team is made up of players that come from that under 20 tournament. So this is a very, very talented group of players that's just emerging. They need to find a goal scorer. I think that's the main issue. They have a lot of really good midfield players. They have some really good talented defenders that are coming through. Most of them playing Europe. They just need to find a goal scorer. And right now they're still depending on Valencia, who's 30, 34, who still scored goals in this tournament, to be fair to him. But he's a washout from Premier League.
Are
But
you
still,
surprised that Senegal, without Mane, just managed to edge them out? So you've got
not really.
two kind of okay teams. One had a scorer, one didn't have their main guy, and yet Senegal finish above. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm
I think
asking this very self-interestedly, obviously, because
sure.
England's now playing them, so I want to know what you think of that matchup as well.
I think with Senegal, it's a lot of it came down to experience. The Senegalese players just have more experience, and they handle the pressure of the moment a little bit better than Ecuador. When Ecuador scored, Senegal didn't panic. They immediately went back and scored another. And the players that they have, Senegal, I think there's a lot of people that commentate on football that are extremely racist because they don't watch African teams too much, and they assume things about African teams based upon racist stereotypes. Senegal is the opposite of your typical racist stereotype of a team in that they're extremely plotting, but they're extremely tactical and extremely defensive. That comes at the cost of being somewhat dependent on Mane to score goals previously. This tournament, they found goals here and there, just through pure experience, just being able to be opportunistic and aware of the situation against Qatar and against Ecuador.
So strong defense against an England team that's got a lot up front, but maybe not as good on defense. Like who's the favorite then? Maybe Senegal because more match experience, or even.
I still think England because Senegal is going to not only be missing Mane, he was out for the tournament, but they're also going to be missing in the central midfield, who is the talisman, the guy. I mean, he has been there for over a decade now, sweeping things up in the midfield. So that's a huge miss defensively. England should still be favorites, but this is not a team you can underestimate.
Absolutely.
If England have to be able to find the cutting edge offensively, or Senegal will just shut you down and force you to go to extra time and force you into penalties if they must.
Jesus.
They're very comfortable doing that. That's how they won the African the championships. That's how they got to the World Cup in the first place.
Are we comfortable doing penalties? I don't think so. Maybe the team is. I'm not comfortable watching it anyway.
Senegal's very comfortable taking penalties.
After the Euros.
I would quite enjoy some penalties just to have let Bukayo scrub that off of his England record.
Yeah, as long as he does. Netherlands grinding one out, top of the group. Is this the most unexciting team to watch of the big ones?
They're pretty bad. But I think there's a few worse teams in terms of enjoyment of their football. But the Netherlands, do you guys remember Vincent Janssen as a player?
I was going to ask Philip. Philip, do you remember Vincent Janssen as a player? He says no.
Yeah, he washed out of Tottenham
That's why
10
Philip
years
doesn't
ago.
remember Spurs.
10 years ago. He was bad.
yeah.
He was bad back then.
Oh,
That's their starting striker right now.
Jesus
Because
Christ.
Memphis Depay is unfit and still doesn't look fit. They put Depay in as subs in all 3 of those group games. I think they might have started Depay. I didn't watch the Netherlands.
Okay. Christ.
But yeah, I don't think Depay is fit at all.
Would we
No.
have rather had Netherlands rather than Senegal in the next round?
I don't think so because ultimately Netherlands is coached by Louis van Gaal. And so this is now coming from me, selfishly coming from me, because the USA is now playing Netherlands. Coming second in the group, we're going to meet a team that's going to be difficult to deal with regardless. Netherlands is probably as best as we could hope for. It's not France, it's not Brazil, right? They do have a few really informed attackers, especially Cody Gakpo, who's going to be paid ungodly amount of money over the winter or maybe next summer. Probably by Manchester United because that's how they do things.
Manchester United themselves are on the market, so God knows what's going to go on there. So do you fancy USA against Netherlands?
Do you want to talk about Group B now?
Well, we could go into Group B.
Yeah.
Should we remind the listener of the rankings?
Yeah, we had England finish top, unsurprisingly. The USA finishing second, somewhat surprisingly.
Is it?
Nah.
Maybe not. And we had Iran and Wales get dumped out of the tournament.
You know, those Iranian players have now all gone home. Does anyone know if they're all right?
Who knows? Some of them hopefully some of them went straight back to Europe where some of them play.
Yeah, I'd hope so. I hope they're all doing asylum requests or something.
Look, Iran in their first game, I have never been in a situation in which my life is directly being threatened by my government while trying to play football. Iran as a team is very good. That first game is not representative at all of who they are as a team.
No, I mean, my God, how do you even concentrate on the sport when all of that crap's going on? I mean, enough respect to them. And, you know, simultaneous with Harry Kane deciding he doesn't want to wear an armband because he might get a yellow card. Embarrassment. Yeah. So, you know, total respect to the Iranian players. Let's hope they're all right.
It's unfair to put all that pressure on football players. It's stuff like that. It's stuff that goes on behind the background. It's stuff that Football Association officials, they should take care of. It's not on the players to do this stuff.
Yeah, but it's ever been thus with sport, hasn't it? I remember very clearly when Andy and Grant Flower, who were Zimbabwean cricketers, wore black armbands to protest Mugabe and literally had to flee in the middle of the night on a plane and go to England and never came back. He ended up coaching Andy Flower, the England team, to great success. And I had the privilege of speaking to him about that. And he's like, sometimes it shouldn't be on sports people, but sometimes it has to be because they're the only people that have reach, that have global awareness, especially a country like Iran or Zimbabwe that's very closed off from the world stage.
Right.
But he talked about it like him and his family middle of the night because they were going to get killed. So, yeah.
Agreed. I will. I mean, I'm probably the last person who would want to stand up for Harry Kane. I think it was it Virgil van Dijk as well, and maybe Lionel Messi or a couple other, maybe not Messi, but definitely Kane and Van Dijk were going to wear the armbands. But FIFA were the ones who said you're good. There will be, you know, repercussions if you do this, and
tough.
For me, the buck stops with them, and it's just utterly horrendous how they've conducted themselves.
Agreed.
And I don't blame Harry Kane because 2 bookings and it's a 1-match ban, right? If you get, is it 2 successive bookings?
Just 2 bookings in general.
Yeah, that's it. So if he starts with 1, he's got 3 games to play. We know how Harry Kane plays. He's a dirty so-and-so. He's probably going to get a card.
I mean, I agree, but it is what it is. Anyway, back to
what it is. I mean, Iran as a team is actually very good, and they showed that in the next 2 games. They beat Wales, very very last minute goals. And look, the USA was not comfortable playing in Iran, especially in the second half.
I mean, my God, in that game, what was Wayne Hennessy smoking, snorting? God knows to charge out like that.
It's not even charging out. That's the problem. Is this karate kick to the guy's stomach?
Yeah. Channeling his inner Nigel de Jong.
Wales, look,
Oh,
they're a team that's past it. Wayne Hennessy included, Gareth Bale included, Aaron Ramsey included, all those guys that were the key players back in 2016. They're not there any. They're not there any. Bale is barely
there was
a
a
football
brief.
player these days.
There was a brief moment when the second half kicked off, England Wales. That Wales had about 3 or 4 minutes of looking like an actual football team and not just 11 blokes who see each other for a couple days a year. And then the Rashford free kick and they utterly capitulate. It's a little bit embarrassing in a way seeing that, but
Well, I mean, ultimately, when the core of the team has aged out and the rest of the team is a bunch of championship players, what do you expect, right? They're not that good of a team. They depend on team spirit, togetherness. But when your goalie does something dumb and it just throws all that off, what can you do? Wayne Hennessy shouldn't start in the first place. Danny Ward should have been the starting goalie from the beginning. Who are you going to choose, the starting goalie of Leicester or the backup of Leicester?
yeah, it's a fair point. I mean, yeah, the fans are so passionate. I think I'm gonna give them the award of maybe most passionate national anthem,
Sure.
but ultimately they go home.
It's also a cracking national anthem. It's
It
one of
is.
my
It
favourites.
is.
All right. Do you want to talk about England first, or you do?
Yep. Let's dig into it.
We played each
I
other. You want
mean,
to talk about that game?
no, it was. There were a couple. So there's a couple of awards we're going to throw around today. This is up there. We'll get to another one later, so I'll keep the listeners in suspense. But this is up there as the most boring game of football I have ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, I was fine with it.
Yeah, you know what was terrible about that is we
I'm
were on a
sure.
very expensive holiday in Barbados that we'd waited 3 years in the flipping pandemic for. And we stupidly came in from the beach at 2:30 and missed an afternoon on the beach to watch this game. And it was so dire. It was just, it just turgid, embarrassing football. And I felt very depressed at the end of it.
We're here to beat you guys.
Yeah, but you didn't know, did you?
I mean, we got pretty close. At the end of the day, I mean, I feel like again, predictably after that game, calls of Southgate to resign, all of that come right back. Look, I told you this is exactly how it was going to go, right? They're going to win 2 games and then go draw 1-0-0. And I just said, I hope that 0-0 was against the USA. We're lucky enough that's exactly the case. That's how Southgate plays. It's incredibly boring to watch at times, but got you guys to semifinals and finals. Works, kind of, question mark. But yeah, in that game, our midfield completely dominated yours, which is weird, but fun. I feel like you guys played well enough in the other two. The Iran game is almost a non-game. But the Wales game, you guys played pretty well in that game. I don't know if you're going to start Phil Foden after that, but played pretty well in that game.
Yeah, the Iran game, I mean, obviously it blew them out of the water. Very enjoyable to see Saka get 2 goals. And also Bellingham in midfield is just a touch. He's absolutely stellar there. I said it before the World Cup. I'm going to say it again, but Pickford and Maguire are going to cost us. The 2 goals against Iran, it was just, I don't know, they just... So you say Southgate, plays this kind of safe football, which he does, but he's following the trend of playing it out from the back, and neither Pickford nor Maguire look comfortable doing that. And when you've got Ben White and Aaron Ramsdale sitting on the bench who do this week in, week out, quite successfully, I might add, it just...
Are you going to buy any time? My husband wants to point out that every team that's advanced so far contains a gooner.
Did you enjoy your backup goalie shutting you down?
We can't put Ben White in there because sadly he's gone home for personal reasons, right? So I think we might be stuck with Slabhead now, which is tragic. It's
always going to be Harry Maguire. Was there any doubt it was going to be Harry Maguire? He was always going to start with Southgate.
No, there's no doubt that it was going to be Harry Maguire, but I still don't see the logic given the season that Ben White has had, given the season all that Arsenal's had. That to me says that Southgate is just very entrenched in his ways and he's not picking on current form. He's picking on legacy or heritage or I don't know, whatever.
It's guys he trusts. And
yeah, but then how do you break through that? That's not good management.
Ultimately, when international managers, when they stay a long period, and I think Southgate is approaching them, It's a pretty long while now that he's the manager of England. They like certain guys, and they're always going to keep certain guys. And one thing that I will credit, I don't know if you guys do have more to say on England before I pivot a little bit to the USA.
One final thing,
Okay,
I
go
would
ahead.
just I would recommend the listeners, if they're not familiar with the artistic exploits of Harry Maguire, to please watch a wonderful 7-minute montage of his greatest hits.
What?
Falling over,
Okay.
own goals, just what a player. What a
Do you
player.
have a YouTube link I can put in the show notes so that the world of VOC may see the shitness of Slaphead?
I will absolutely put it in the chat.
Thank you very much.
Now we can discuss the USA, Bing.
One thing I'll credit to our coach. He made changes. He was willing to put in a few informed players over legacy, I guess you could say, if you want to put it that way. And against England, look, our team is extraordinarily young. I think third youngest in this tournament, especially in the midfield. But that midfield bossed yours, and that gave me confidence going forward against teams like the Netherlands. Our attack, I've said this in our first podcast. Scoring goals is actively painful for our team. For the USA, it's like pulling teeth, and we barely put 2 goals together in the entire in the 3 games that we played. But on the other hand, it's the defense surprised me in a positive way in that we only gave up 1 goal, the penalty against Gareth Bale. We shut you guys out. We shut out Iran. And again, to credit to Berhalter, he brought in Team Rim, who didn't barely play the game during qualifying, but he's on form. Team Rim's on form for Fulham. He's their captain. He's been playing very well. Even though the guy's 35-year-old, he plot Team Rim right in the center of defense, and Team Rim has not put a foot wrong. And he against Iran, he had the guts to drop one of the guaranteed starters throughout qualifying, putting Cameron Carter-Vickers, who barely played for us up to that point, and he played well. You have to make some adjustments. We'll see if Southgate ever does that. Greg Berhalter has done that, so that gives me some confidence. There's some issues surrounding the fact he hasn't played one of our most talented kids, Gio Reyna, at all yet. We'll see what happens in that front. But our midfield trio, go back to them again. Tyler Adams, who plays for Leeds, Weston McKennie, who plays for Juventus, and Yunus Musa, who had turned 20 playing against Iran. Yunus Musa, who is, by the way, English. He was born in the USA. That's the only reason he's playing for us.
But why is he not playing for us then?
Oh, do you know which academy he came out of? You want to take a very easy guess of which academy he came out of?
Not fucking Arsenal.
Of course it's Arsenal.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay.
Why is he playing for you guys? You guys never paid attention to him. So he switched to us. We gave him a guaranteed start in a World Cup. So he's playing for us. And we're going to have another similar player that switched from the Netherlands to us, Serginho Dest. Again, we gave that kid a chance from a young age. The Netherlands never paid attention to him until he actually became a good player. That's how we've been growing our program for a while now. Because we haven't been doing that a few years ago, and we didn't qualify the World Cup, and now we're actually starting paying attention to doing that.
If obviously we've still got some groups to get through, but I would say I would back you guys against the Netherlands. I think you'll go through.
It's hard. We're going against one of the most wily coaches in international soccer in Louis van Gaal. It's hard. I think we can, if we can take down, we can even beat their midfield, which is completely possible at this point. We have a chance. At the very least, we can maybe take it to extra time. The problem is we can't score goals.
Yeah.
Somehow find a way to score 1 goal and maybe keep that lead. So it's hard. But Netherlands don't look that great going forward either. So
Tim Weir's an exciting player. I like him as a footballer. But yeah, you're right.
He's fast. Pulisic, he shows up for the USA, even though he barely plays for Chelsea. We don't have a striker. We just don't. And we know that going into this tournament, we don't have a striker.
I think if you can score, you'll win.
We'll see.
Sounds which is probably the worst footballing commentary ever, but
We're positive about the USMNT, and that's not the emotion a lot of fans have felt for a long time in the USA.
We've done this in slightly reverse order. I was going to run through our predictions from the last pod and embarrass everyone except Bina, who nailed it for Group A.
Good job.
Thank you very much. By the way,
And
can I tell
then
you guys something? In my company, they do you have to predict all the match results in the first round, and we have 198 people who entered. And I put down influenced. I did it while we were doing our previous soccer cast, and I'm now number 10 in the league. So we weren't bad.
wow,
We weren't
that's
bad.
pretty good.
To be fair, these are the two groups that are maybe the easiest to predict.
They were, and yet only Bina got it right for A, predicting Senegal to come second. Everyone put the Dutch first. And then for Group B, Bing, you were the only one who had it bang on.
Nobody believed in USA?
Yeah, everyone had England top, but you were the only one who put USA second. So congrats to you both. And I guess, are we unanimous with England going through against Senegal?
I think you should be able to win.
I agree. I mean, we'll get to them very, very shortly, but yeah, I don't see us going past France, which I believe would be the next game after that. But we shall get to them. And then Dutch first. I'm going to back the States. I like you guys. I think the Dutch are not good value in this tournament. Let's go USA.
I'm a fan of the USMNT. I'm going to back the USA. Okay. It doesn't matter who I'm going to play against. If we play against Argentina in quarterfinals, I'm going to back the USMNT. Logically, if you're actually betting money, Netherlands is still the better pick. But I'm going to back the USA no matter what.
So juicier bet. Bina, any deviations? Any Dutch preference?
I think the Dutch are going to win because they're that sort of like turgid sort of. Yeah, I just think match experience, just manager. I think the Dutch might edge it, and I think
What's going to happen? But sure.
I think we're going to win against Senegal, but I think it's going to be very hairy, and it wouldn't surprise me if it went to ET or penalties.
Wow. Okay. Alrighty. Well, we shall leave groups A and B behind, and we shall progress to two very interesting groups. We've got Group C, Argentina finishing top after an early stumble, and then Poland somehow managing to make it through. And then we have Group D with France unsurprisingly finishing top, and then everyone underdogs, the Socceroos, Australia, coming second on goal difference only. I mean,
vibes, baby.
Wow.
Vibes.
Wow. I loved the Australia manager at the end of the when they qualified, and he was just so serious, just head down, focus on the job, nailing everyone's feet to the floor. Loved it, and obviously the fans are absolutely loons. It's great to see that we've seen it with so many different groups of fans, and just it's what the World Cup's about. It's brilliant. So Bing, give me your favorite moments for Australia.
Yo, I have no idea how they score goals. It's like there's like some mythical moments that happen all three games in which out of nowhere it's like through magic tricks they conjure a goal out of nowhere. There's no pressure that from any of the previous moments of when they score their goals. There's no actual pressure that they exert on other teams in which you say, oh, a goal's coming, Australia's coming on, it seems that they're dangerous. It just magically happened that they just randomly score goals. Because for most of all three of their group matches, they were being pinned down in their own end and being attacked. Doesn't matter who they're playing, they were outmatched. And they are still outmatched in this tournament by a country mile against every other team, except maybe Qatar in terms of sheer talent. Yet somehow, I don't know how, they just magically come up with a goal, and then the other teams just cannot score against them. Oh, except France, who put 4 past them. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, it looked pretty bleak after that first game, I must say. I mean, they took the lead, I believe, in that. Then France just said no. And Olivier Giroud, not sure how I feel about him equaling Thierry Henry's all-time record for France, but
the guy
put 2 past.
The guy scored goals. What can I say?
Yeah.
He's evergreen, including his handsome looks. That's just now gotten more rugged over age. Do you want to talk about the teams that got eliminated again first?
So we have Mexico and Saudi Arabia got dumped out of Group C, and Tunisia and Denmark. I will say, let's start with Denmark. They're going to be horribly disappointed with the performance. My condolences to a certain Sir Patrick the Tall. But what is dead may never die, my friend, and rises again harder and stronger.
They look pretty dead to me. Denmark, I think, is the biggest disappointment in this tournament.
Washing up on the shore, having been eaten by crabs, is Denmark.
Yeah, basically, because that's basically their offense. It's non-existent. They cannot score goals, which it's. I mean, they have problem as striker going into this tournament, but that's not the issue in the actual games. You just cannot create anything worth it. Like they have a lot of. They get a lot of. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm just wondering what you think. What has changed since the Euros? I mean, they made it to the semis, right?
One thing that's changed is that Christian Eriksen is playing, and maybe there's an over reliance on him to create things, and the guy was just shut down and couldn't create anything. But also, just maybe a lot of those players just suddenly ran into a rich vein of form during the Euros, but they were scoring goals during qualifying as well. It was a total power outage all across, and like against Tunisia, the first game, and that's really the game that beat Denmark. Against Tunisia, they were trying not to score. Like Andreas Cornelius had basically had to go into the net and he had the post. Like, it was harder to not score than to score. And it was very baffling to me how badly they played. And they just conceded goals at key moments, at exactly the wrong moments as well. Like against France, they equalized, and they finally scored a goal and equalized, and they could have used that as a momentum going forward, but immediately they concede right back. It's just they just never got going. So yeah, Denmark's out. Tunisia,
yeah, I was just going to say were better than expected. I mean, they only scored a goal, but that one goal made Guendouzi sad, which makes me happy.
Yeah, they beat France. I mean,
they did indeed.
They're completely rotated and completely whack French formation. I don't know. Have you ever watched Matteo Guendouzi play winger?
I'm just getting up the lineup. My God, he played on the left.
Yeah. That was not a pretty sight, Matteo Guendouzi on. Yeah, I don't know. Deschamps, I think, decided that he just wanted to F around in the last game. But no, Tunisia, they're a decent team. They can't score. They just can't. I think that goes for actually a lot of teams this tournament, which just don't have strikers.
Yeah, I feel like we're saying this for like every other team.
Yeah, that's true though, right? Especially this group. This group is honestly the actual games of this group were exceptionally boring.
Yeah, it was a good call of yours to say how shit Mexico were going to be.
Oh, I was about to go on a full rant about that.
But God bless Saudi Arabia. They got a national day. They got a holiday, didn't they? A bank holiday.
Yeah, they got a holiday, and then lost it.
Wow, that's fantastic.
The Saudi Arabia isn't horrible as a team. I think people's perception of Saudi Arabia is like the previous tournaments in which they were bad. But that team isn't bad. It's just they never.
Well, I mean, you say that, and then you did say about Wales, being full of championship players. It's Al Dasuri who scored that wonder goal against Argentina, and he plays in the Saudi Arabian league.
They all play in the Saudi league. The quality of that league isn't actually bad. They compete regularly for Asian championships and all. And they have, Cristiano Ronaldo might be suiting up for one of their teams very soon.
Who knows? Apparently, they all got given a Rolls Royce for beating Argentina.
Yeah, apparently. Would you like to live in a country which money literally flows out of the ground? No, I don't think the quality of that league is bad. It's just they're often very out of touch with modern football. I think Al Dasari is actually the guy who's now played in 3 different World Cups, I think, or 2 different World Cups at least. They have some experience also at this level, so they know what it's about going in. Wales didn't. Wales, it's all debut players, right? They never made a World Cup except like 50 years ago or something like that. That's a difference as well. Ultimately, Saudi Arabia, they caught Argentina by surprise. But in the next 2 games, when teams take them seriously, they can still beat them.
Yeah, no, you're right. It was 1958 that Wales last played in a World Cup, which definitely was a big. They're overshadowing their performance. But on Saudi Arabia, I mean, in that Argentina game, I completely forgot, because obviously there have been 6,000 football games in the last 10, 11 days. There were 3 disallowed goals for Argentina. So
Argentinians have no idea what offside is.
Yeah. So I mean, they were battered. They were battered, and their first goal was definitely against the run of play. I think. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we have 2 goals of the tournament in this group. The first one I mentioned was Aldous. I love that. He brought the ball down, turns, and just hits it. I think whenever a goalkeeper gets a hand to the ball, it just takes something away from an emphatic finish. But Loved it. Absolutely loved it.
And the other one is the Enzo Fernandez.
The other one I was going to say is Luis Chavez's free kick.
Oh, Luis Chavez's free kick. Yeah.
That was, that was like 40 yards. It was stunning.
Yeah, that was absolutely superb.
Yeah.
Oh, Mexico.
I mean,
I told you all, right? I told you all Mexico sucked.
Hey, before you get
Yes,
into
and you
your
also
rant,
told us that Canada and Uruguay were the teams to watch, Bing. So
Uruguay can still go through. See, we'll get to Canada. But look, I mean,
to Canada, that's going to be a funny one.
Look, the teams I think rate, I overrate. But the teams I know suck. They sucked. We'll get to also talk about Belgium, who I also mark as going on in that same group.
Well, the Mexicans, yeah. So the Mexican Poland game is tied. It might even edge it of the England USA game, but Mexico Poland was so dull. Oh my God, two teams just act. That says it all. But two teams just actively not try. It reminds me of there was a Simpsons. They did a sketch on the World Cup, like I don't know, 1998, long time ago. And it's just, 4 players kicking a ball. And it's just the most god-awful thing. It's exactly like that.
Mexico, look, their coach, Tata Martino, throughout the entire qualification, was completely stuck in his ways. He has a lineup. He has a group of players that he trusts 100%. This is starting to sound like Southgate because it is. It's a group of players he trusts and will play no matter what. Luis Chavez, the guy who scored that free kick, he didn't become a starter for Mexico until the friendlies right before this tournament. He was forced to play Luis Chavez.
Wow. So that wasn't manager brilliance. That was manager being forced.
Yeah, being literally, this guy was so informed for his club in Pachuca that he was forced to play Luis Chavez. But also, his preferred midfield options were Andres Guardado, who is 35. It's long gone. Hector Herrera, who sucked in the MLS last season. And people like Charlie Rodriguez, who's just not of this level. The problem is he was also stuck in his ways up front, in which Raul Jimenez, look, there was once upon a time Raul Jimenez is a great player. And it's very unfortunate that he got that head injury and he's not the same player anymore. He was a great player once upon a time, but he's not now. And he's also not fit. You can't play Raul Jimenez. But he caught him up over vastly superior options in Santiago Jimenez and Chicharito, who actually is scoring goals in the MLS, but Chicharito completely out with the national team.
I did like the look of Lozano. Decent player. Maybe Mexico's best player.
But no end product. It's always Lozano's problem. And deciding no end product. They also didn't call up Diego Lainez, one of their supposedly young hot talents. Didn't have that option off the bench, someone fast and could create problems. The game against Poland was bad, but I feel like their worst game that they played was against Argentina, in which they didn't even try. They didn't even try to attack Argentina. They tried to defend, and you can ask Mexico fans. That goes against their DNA to just trying to not even try to attack. That goes against their DNA.
Do you not feel that also applies to England against the USA?
Are you saying in the case of England or the USA?
In the case of England, that we didn't try, that they were making all the running. It just felt like we were holding on for a draw to sort of very strategically and tactically win the group and not risk a loss. But it was incredibly negative.
The thing is, England was not the threat. They already got a win and got a lot of goal difference in the first game.
True.
They were never going to lose to Wales in the next.
Well,
Mexico, they weren't. Mexico, they drew their first game, and then Poland beat Saudi Arabia. They had to do something against Argentina, but they let Argentina try to break them down. And you know what? You're going to bet against Lionel Messi trying to break you down. You're actually going to bet against that. It's just it's a hack job from Martino. This is a team that could be much better, but if you look back, the results from 2021 onwards, post pandemic, they were dominated by every single other team across CONCACAF, which they should be the king of CONCACAF, but they lost to the US in two different tournaments. They lost to the US also in the qualifying. They lost to Canada and drew them at home. They should have lost to Costa Rica away, managed to draw and drew at home. Mexico is when I say Mexico is bad, it's unfortunately comes from a lot of experience of watching Mexico play. Because I'm in CONCACAF, I have to watch these guys play. Anyway, that's my rant on Mexico.
I have to watch them play. Poor mate, poor you.
You really shouldn't. They suck. And Tata Martino's already fired, so we'll see where they go from there on.
So I do have a couple things to say. Firstly, how soft have their penalties been? The one against Saudi Arabia was pathetic.
Yeah.
And then I'm just rewatching the one against Poland, which Wojciech heroically saved Messi's effort from. They're both just so soft, flimsy. How are these decisions being made? I think there was one in the it's VAR, but there was one in the England-Iran game where I think I can't remember who it was. Was it Stones or Maguire? Was basically just hauled to the ground and flung. And it's not given. I mean, just the inconsistency continues with VAR, which is obviously not a major headline. But I thought largely the officiating seems to have been good in this tournament. But those two penalties just stand out as just awful.
Yeah, no, they were pretty bad. They were pretty soft.
Do you know, or is the listener happen to be a technical person? Why is it that VAR is so shit? When I watch a lot of cricket, right? And I think most cricket fans would agree that the referral system in cricket and how the replays are done and how the adjudications are then ruled or overruled is incredibly quick, incredibly transparent, and incredibly reliable. And I don't understand why it's so much worse in football. Like, why is VAR, from a technological standpoint, why does it take so long to compose the images from the different angles? Why is it not immediately shared with everyone? And why is it so inconsistently adjudicated upon? Because cricket is way more complicated. No offense, but
there's no lack of a single system that's used across all competitions in terms of VAR. There's some tournaments that don't even use VAR still because they don't have the technology to do it. And the problem is technology for VAR is just different. I think FIFA uses a different technology from Premier League that's different from, say, the MLS in the US. And as for the referees who have to take charge of those things, well, they're used to one way of doing things, but then they go to the World Cup and the FIFA is now setting down a new set of rules for them to follow. It's hard.
I have liked how they show the VAR in this World Cup. With they're better lines than the Premier League, at least. Yeah, the offside. But I think to your point, Bina, it's down to the rules of football itself. Like, so much of it is it's down to the interpretation of the referee on the day. Some referees let the game flow. Some want to stamp their authority early. I mean, it's only really offside that is now becoming a bit more hard and fast. I mean, it's just, back in the day, in the 90s and before, it used to be the attacker would get the advantage. So if his toenail was offside, it would be a goal. But nowadays, anything, I mean, I had a go at Argentina, but one of their goals that was disallowed against Saudi Arabia, it was Martinez's arm. His arm was offside. And I think maybe, 2% of his shoulder was offside. And I would not be surprised if he scored a goal with that 2% of his shoulder, it would be ruled out for handball. So, agreed. It's a major problem in the game, but I don't know how they're going to solve it without, stamping down some.
Because there are people who's going to say thumbs up that those Martinez goals were offside. Who say no, we must stick by the offside rule as clear as possible, and that any piece of your body that's offside, then that the goal is offside. There are people who would definitely advocate that position. So I don't know. It's hard. I think the actual referees that run around the pitch, they've actually been very good.
I agree.
But yeah, it's hard.
It is difficult.
Argentina, I think, actually is pretty good now after a very bad start. They made the adjustments.
They've warmed up. Yeah. I mean, I think their biggest strength, or it appears to me, is that they're not relying on Lionel Messi. Yeah. And we're seeing a lot of teams. I mean, all of the teams that have relied on a single player have gone out, mostly.
To credit to the coaching team, when one thing is not working, they make the changes, and that's going to be a theme. This is a World Cup in the middle of a season. Players are tired, and they're maladjusted to what's going to this tournament. You have to make adjustments, and also you have 5 subs. That's different from any tournament before. You have 5 subs to work with. You can completely change the shape of your team if you want to. and produce a different result. And to the credit of Scaloni and his coaching team, he made the adjustments. When Martinez keeps getting offside, he benched him and put in Julian Alvarez. And he's been very good.
Who really should have been starting from the
Probably
beginning.
should.
You know,
Probably should. But you know what?
Loath
No,
to
he
admit it, he does. He doesn't. I mean, he doesn't start in front of the Terminator that is Haaland. But yeah, who could is arguably the best striker ever. But yeah, Alvarez is very good, and when he has played for City, he's scored some good goals and stepped up well. I think Haaland missed a couple games, and Alvarez did
well. Yeah.
Yeah, he did well. Did well.
So yeah. They still top.
So
anyways,
they top the group. I think the only ones we haven't touched upon are Poland. Well, we talked about the save, the Szczesny save. Lewandowski finally did something at a major tournament, which was shocking.
He was handed a goal on golden platter by the Saudis. Maybe literally. I think the only player that's worth talking about on Poland is Wojciech Szczesny, whose performance against Argentina game is Team Howard-esque.
I mean, they still lost, but
look,
he did his best.
Argentina was pinning them down and punching them repeatedly over and over. Somehow Szczesny, that first half, Argentina had 10 shots on goal, and somehow Szczesny saved all of them, including a penalty against Messi. What more do you want the guy to do?
Well, we'll have a quick look at the old Predictatron, and nobody was right.
Actually, put Saudi Arabia.
Yes, you did. You put Saudi Arabia as a finish.
Looks very good after the first game.
And the rest of us picked Mexico. Everyone picked Argentina. And then we had France to finish top. And sorry, Bing, Denmark didn't finish top. They didn't even get. They didn't even get through.
Have fun with these, right?
Yeah. So no winners this time. But then if we're looking ahead to the knockouts, we've got France versus Poland. Can anyone look beyond France? Kylian Mbappe just looks unstoppable.
I mean, France presumably wins that like 4-0 or something. I mean, that's going to be a ruffle stomp.
Not 4-0 because Wojciech Szczesny.
Yeah, okay, maybe 2-0. But I mean,
I think 2-0 or something like that. Maybe
there's no
2-1.
way France doesn't win that. I can't. Oh, someone's just scored.
It's kicked off.
Yeah,
Portugal scored.
I forgot we'd gone live. Oh, goodness. We're doing a live reaction pod.
We probably do the group stages at the end of this, right? We can wrap this up quickly.
Quick word on Mbappe. I think he will absolutely smash that France record. I mean, how many goals has he got already?
Total? International goals?
Yeah, just having a quick peek. He's 23 years old. Giroud's 36, by the way. So he may beat it, but... oh, my God. He's got...
31
already. He's 23 and he's got 31 goals already.
Mbappe is
insane.
Yeah, on his day, Mbappe he's unbeatable. France is going to win, and I love Australia. I'm on the record as pro Australia.
You're not going to back the Socceroos? Come on, Bing.
They actually have to perform black sorcery to beat Argentina.
Do you know what? I'm going for it. I'm going Australia.
You know what? I support you on your decision to go to support Australia.
Well, I'm 100% confident that a team that begins with A will win that match.
Good.
All right. Bina, Argentina or Australia, I'm guessing?
Well, I've been backing Argentina this whole time, and they've been significantly underwhelming. The question is whether they finally come good. Are they like, Italy was always a classic example, or Pakistan in cricket, where they somehow underwhelm in the group stage, just somehow scrape through and then just become better and better until the final when they win? Or do you just think the Socceroos, right? Momentum. I'm going to have to go Argentina, but only because they've got Messi, and you just have to think that at some point that quality just comes good. But yeah, not as emphatically as I would have been pre-tournament for sure.
I mean, we all had Argentina to win the thing. There was an either or, and everyone had or Argentina.
Let's see. Again, Australia, whatever momentum has, pure black magic. We
shall see. Whatever outback ritual they need to do.
Yeah.
Sacrifice some tarantulas or whatever. Well, I would love to see them in the quarterfinals. All right, I think that's enough on those two groups. Let's move on to arguably the most fun and exciting and crazy groups of the tournament. These two are absolutely bonkers and so much fun to watch. The final games I watched at a pub last night, and it was just incredible. The up and downs, and we'll get to it, but it was wonderful. We have in Group E, Japan topping the group, and Spain finishing second. And in Group F, we had Morocco topping the group, followed by Croatia. Love it. And we say Auf Wiedersehen to our German friends. Which is
this group is nuts. Let's get into this group. I think my favourite of many absolutely stonking tweets of the tournament. I think football Twitter is a great way to sort of get into this tournament. My favourite Twitter was from someone called, let me see if I can find it, Arseblog, one of the best Arsenal Twitter accounts. For Japan to win that group after coming from behind against both Germany and Spain while losing to Costa Rica in between is fucking amazing. You've got to love football. And I think that just sums up the kind of gonzo nature of that group. And bye-bye Germany. No one's going to miss you.
Japan had 27% of the ball against Germany. They had 17.7% of the ball against Spain. And they won both. They had 57% of the ball against Costa Rica, and they lost that game. They don't make sense. They might be masochistic. They have to be stepped on a little bit before they actually react. I don't know if the Japanese coach is some sort of mad genius or just completely mad. His lineups are bonkers.
Yeah, absolutely. The fans are incredible too. The best fans at every World Cup, and the players are so passionate. And again, another former Arsenal, the one that got away, Takuma Asano, scoring the winner against Germany.
Yeah, but the
connection continues.
And the current Arsenal player, Tomiyasu, keep coming off the bench. He never starts in, but he's very good when he does play.
He's carrying a groin injury.
Yeah, that's injury. I mean, Arteta must have been hoping they'd get knocked out so he could just come home and rest. But yeah, you can't keep an Arsenal player out the game.
Well, the coach of Japan benched a bunch of their starters against Costa Rica and lost that game, which should have been the end of Japan. Yet somehow he screws around with the lineup a little bit more, and then they had no possession against Spain except for this 5-minute period in which they scored 2 goals, and that's it. It's like, they're incomprehensible.
Was Spain not throwing the game, but taking the pressure off the gas a little bit to get Germany out?
I don't think they're trying to get Germany out. Maybe they were trying to get Morocco.
Yeah, to get the easier draw. Yeah.
Maybe,
is that scurrilous rumour, or do you think there's any meat to that?
I don't think so.
I think you see this a lot in football, do we want the easy, this, that, the other? I don't think ever a team wants to lose a game. It's more important to keep the momentum up, to keep winning. There was the whole, when Arsenal played in the League Cup in this congested season, do we want to go bow out to Brighton and this and that and the other? I don't think any team wants to lose momentum. You want to win every game, and the same went for Spain.
Yeah, no,
and I think that's taking something away from Japan as well.
Yeah,
they were good value.
We'll talk about Morocco soon, but are you sure you want to play Morocco right now? Like on paper, if you haven't been watching any of the games, sure. But like right now, on current form, are you sure you want to play against Morocco?
It's a fair question.
Plus, Morocco is going to have a lot of historical baggage with Spain. They're right next to each other. They're going to be up for it. So we'll see. But yeah, no, Japan. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about Japan. It's just bizarre.
Amazing.
Country is going to be more distraught and have more of a reckoning. Germany or Belgium?
Germany, because I think the Belgians already are destroying themselves already. they were self-immolating trying to get to Belgium. Germany is just Germany. Sorry.
No, I was trying to. I'm on a little Signal chat group with a bunch of my old uni friends, and a lot of them are German and Austrian, and they were saying a lot of people in Germany aren't watching it because it's in Qatar and they're legitimately boycotting it. Although I don't know if that's just like bad, sour grapes.
No, that's true. No, that was happening.
Whereas I feel in England, everyone's moaned about it, but we're all watching. So maybe it won't have more of an impact because it's kind of like a tournament they weren't fully engaged in anyways.
I would agree. That makes a lot of sense. I think it's Belgium who would feel it more. This was their golden generation. I don't think they've ever won a World Cup.
No.
This was probably their last chance for a while.
This isn't a chance. They had no chance. I told you.
Well, De Bruyne is not going to play another World Cup, or at least if he does, he's not going to be the same player.
They barely played in this World Cup. he didn't really show up, did he? Germany. The problem with Germany is they're a hyper-attacking team without a striker. Because defensively, a lot of their defenders, Sula and Schallerback, got raked over the coals because they did play bad. But the problem is this is a system that's designed to make them look bad. The idea is if they just have all the possession of the ball and they keep attacking and they keep scoring goals, it doesn't matter. They play this suicidal high line that's always going to get their defenders in trouble. The problem is just they didn't score goals.
Well, that
They
sounds like
can't-
bad management because you haven't adapted your system to the actual talent.
It is. Or at the very least, you should play your strikers. If you don't trust your strikers, okay, well, it doesn't matter. This is your system. Then you need your striker there. Niklas Füllkrug, who is, he's a 29-year-old journeyman who has played more second division football than first division football. But he is in form right now, and when he played, he was good. You just got to play him. Or else you play the 17-year-old. Doesn't matter. You need a striker there. You can't put Thomas Muller there. It doesn't work. It never worked.
Right. Well, in the interest of watching the second half of this match, should we go to Group F?
Sure. Belgium.
Well, Belgium we thought were going to be shit and they were shit because they're old. So I think that's okay. Canada's the one that obviously you explained it's just lack of match experience, but I was still disappointed to see them come bottom after you're picking them up.
They edged Qatar on goal difference as the worst team in the tournament. 0 points.
I know.
From Canada.
If you actually watch the games, though, they should have beaten Belgium, but again, lack of match experience. They press, but lack composure. They missed a penalty against Qatar. They should have 2 others, but it's just one bad counterattack.
I mean, they got mullered by Croatia, though.
Against Croatia, they scored first, but then Modric put the pressure on, and they didn't have an answer for him.
Another old player who's just still classy, right?
It's like Modric took Croatia to a World Cup final and have won. How many Champions League had that guy won by this point?
Yeah, he's got enough match experience for everyone.
Yeah, it's and then the rest of the team's probably guys like Kovacic.
Think us about Morocco, because should we have seen this? I mean, I don't watch any African football or any football really that's not Premier League. So should we have seen this coming? Is this more sort of not so much racism as people overlooking domestic African play? What have they performed above themselves, or should we have seen a performance coming?
None of their players playing Morocco, except for like one, I think. All of them are almost half of their team is naturalized.
Yeah, quite a lot of Premier League in there. You've got Boufal, Ziyech, Hakimi as well. Saiss, I think Saiss plays in the Prem.
He was.
Yeah.
I think now he plays in Turkey or something. But no, Morocco, I didn't trust them because they fired the coach.
Yeah, I remember you saying.
That's it. I have no idea which Morocco is going to show up. Because the coach was fired because he wouldn't call Hakim Ziyech. He got into a huge role with Hakim Ziyech. And in the end, the Football Association decided with Hakim Ziyech and hired a coach that will call him up.
I believe based on his performance this World Cup, they made the right choice.
Yeah, turns out that was the right choice. It's hard though, right? Going into a tournament when it's like that, right?
Exactly.
Look, credit to the new coach that they brought in essentially last minute with no competitive matches to prepare. If he got the team together, I don't know if he's actually a good coach or not, but I guess he's a very good manager. He got the team to play together, and Morocco have good players. I never doubted that. I just didn't know how exactly the team would perform. But they have really good players.
It's the same thing we've been saying, you know. They've got belief, they've got passion, they're playing as a team, and who knows? Like, I could easily see them, you know, if we're gonna look at, you know, their head-to-head against Spain, they're good value. Like, Spain trickled off towards the end.
You know, Morocco's going to be up for that. They have players in key positions that help match Spain.
And I would love to see the first African team in quarterfinals. Is it quarterfinals?
There are African teams that make Senegal and Ghana and Cameroon. I think all made.
I thought it was Ghana versus Uruguay. They never made it.
No, before that, Senegal.
Or was that the semi-finals?
That's not Senegal. Cameroon, I think, made it.
Okay.
But yeah, no. I guess you could say modern tournament format, maybe. That they're Ghana what it was. But no, I think again, Morocco, their fullbacks, Hakimi and Mazraoui, are probably better than Spain's, especially Hakimi. And you know what? An informed Ziyech is really hard. He's really hard to play. He's really difficult to handle. He hasn't shown up at all for Chelsea. But an informed Hakim Ziyech is really, really good. And they have good players. They're not like greatest players ever, but they are good players who play for top leagues. That's a formula.
Bonkers. Right. So just running down our predictions. Utterly wrong for Group E. We all put Germany top and Spain second. Well, we all got Spain second, right?
Did I get put Spain second or Spain first? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's wrong.
And then
Sure,
I put Morocco.
because weirdly in my work one, I had Germany second bottom. I had Spain top, and then I had.
No, we got Germany, Spain across the board. Maybe I was rushing through too quickly and just copied and pasted.
My work one, I had Spain, then Germany, then Japan, then Costa Rica. So I still got it totally wrong, but I put Spain top.
Sure.
It's an honour system. People can go back and listen.
Exactly.
No one listened to the original one. I mean, this really is the most niche of niche Fox, isn't it? This is us talking to ourselves. We don't need to publish it.
Apparently, there are a few people in
Xander, maybe. That's it.
No, there's a few people apparently in Discord that does it.
Yeah, people putting it on while they're doing the dishes or whatever. Well, I had Morocco second, but Canada top.
I don't know why you guys listen to me. I was fully when I was up in Canada. You guys chose to listen to me.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah. I mean, even Bina was swayed with Belgium, Canada. I think that's about as wrong as you can get, right?
I can tell you Belgium is bad.
Yeah, I didn't think.
I didn't warn you. Look,
do we think?
Yeah, sorry, very quickly on Belgium. I thought they were bad. I just thought they were bad. I thought they were old and bad. I didn't know they were going to set themselves on fire. Okay, I didn't. Apparently, they agreed with me. They also think they're bad.
Yeah, they didn't turn up, did they? I mean, they just look lucky to qualify.
They turn up to tell each other they're old.
There were teams in this, like Belgium and Wales, where you just think, why is Italy not here?
They sucked during qualifying and couldn't beat North Macedonia. That's why they can't beat.
I know. I mean, it is quite funny, but you just think, when you're watching one of those turgid games, and you just think, come on, there are teams that could have been in here.
I wish the USA could have been.
That's football.
That's football. So who's going to win? Who are they matched up against in the next round?
We've got Japan versus Croatia, and we've got Morocco versus Spain.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna back Japan again. Let's go Japan! Come on.
Yeah, I mean it's great. It's Japan versus Modric, but Modric is very good.
The thing is,
he is very good.
Who's gonna have more possession of the ball, Croatia or Japan?
Croatia.
If that's the case, then Japan has a good chance.
Japan
That's the thing.
Needs to have
Japan are better.
Win.
Japan are better. The less ball that they hit, the less possession they have.
I think they might win. I think they might go goal behind and then win 2-1.
Yeah, that's their formula so far.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, and best supporters in the tournament. So let's go Japan.
Absolutely. Are you going Croatia, Bing?
Look, football logic tells me it has to be Croatia, but Japan completely defies every single football logic there is. They're here.
All right, so I look forward to you falling on your sword in a week's time.
Look, I don't care. I think you need to know this. I don't care. I'm just babbling.
But it's beautiful. That's what you want in a World Cup. Just a few rogue results to keep us all interested.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
If all the results follow exactly our prediction, what's the fun in that?
Exactly. Right. And then
Morocco, Spain.
Oh, I'm going to go Spain. I just think they're just too classy. Ooh, Korea just scored. Korea, Portugal, 0-0.
Free kick.
There you go.
Uruguay just scored as well.
Ooh, it's all kicking off.
After Ghana makes a penalty. Again.
Against
Uruguay.
There you go. I'm going Spain. Quality will out.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the underdogs. Let's go Morocco. Come on.
Okay. I go with Spain, but I respect them, and I think it's that's good money.
Fair enough.
I think we missed one thing, was the bonkers last night where Costa Rica were going to go through.
One glorious.
And Spain and Germany were going to go out.
That would have been
Germany.
Chef's kiss. That would have been so beautiful if Spain had gone out. That's crazy.
Germany saved Spain's bacon.
Yeah.
It was the 70th minute. A Manuel Neuer own goal. Costa Rica 2-1 up. Everyone went mad in the pub. It was a wonderful moment. It's a shame. It would have been absolutely fantastic. But probably one of the biggest group upsets of all time if Japan and Costa Rica through.
But I'm glad Spain's still in the tournament because I think Spain is capable of fantastic play and I want to see that. So whereas Germany,
good young team.
Nobody's lost that Germany went home. So football justice was done in the end. But it was lovely to see Spain shitting themselves for a while, for sure.
Absolutely. So we've got the final games going on right now. We have Portugal versus South Korea and the very spicy Ghana versus Uruguay.
Why is Group H in the afternoon and then Group G later? Surely Group G should be first. That's all weird.
FIFA scheduling.
FIFA being dicks. Yeah.
Probably want the Brazil game because it will be the most viewed.
Yeah, I guess.
But Portugal's 3, right? So this is just a second place playoff.
Yeah, Portugal is 3. Yeah, Portugal is through.
Brazil and Portugal are both through. Yep. So it's. I mean, look, it should be straightforward, but Spain were through and finished second, and Japan. Oh no, Spain weren't through.
Spain weren't through. No, they have 4 points. Yeah,
I mean, it feels
My
wide
bad.
open between Ghana, Uruguay, South Korea, right? You could see any of those permutations.
It's hard for South Korea because they need the results. Not only they need to beat. Actually, right now, they need to beat Portugal.
Yeah.
If the result over Uruguay versus Ghana stands, they would go through.
Yeah. And it's
But
so far, so they're playing well. They're playing out of their skins. Like just watching this first 30 minutes, Korea is absolutely they're leaving every drop of blood on this pitch. So
yeah, Korea defensively, it was just disappointing. Oh, Cristiano Ronaldo just missed a sitter.
Yeah, I mean, what do you guys think? I reckon Portugal have probably been the most consistent, highest performing team at the tournament so far. I think they're looking the best.
Much as it pains me to agree, I don't disagree with that. I mean, this should be, if there's any, as a football fan, you want to see Messi versus Ronaldo at some point, don't you?
Yeah.
You want to see that in a semi or whatever.
I don't want to see Ronaldo really anymore. I don't think Ronaldo has been any good at all. It's Bruno Fernandes that's been really good, and Bruno Fernandes and Joao Felix somehow who has been very good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ronaldo.
Well, we can't
not
mention. Yeah, I was just going to say you can't not mention his goal. 5 scored in 5 World Cups.
Sure, it's a dodgy penalty that should not have been a penalty. Incredibly soft. Congratulations for the penalty. And then he tried to fake that he scored the Bruno Fernandes goal.
Yeah, that was bizarre. He was like, "Yeah, touch my eyebrow or whatever." What an idiot.
Yes, absolutely. It's yes. Anyways, Uruguay scored another goal. Now it looks like it's
They
Uruguay.
did.
Yeah, no, it might be Uruguay going through. Portugal, I don't think actually Portugal has been that impressive in the sense that their defense looks really, really bad. And I don't trust their goalie at all. He's made some bizarre choices. In fact,
yeah, the Costa guy, and they've got Jose Sarr on the bench, who's pretty decent.
He's 23 years old. He's the starter at Porto, who's been playing very well this season, to be fair. But yeah, 23 years old. I don't know. Anyways, I think their defense is going to. Yeah, I think the defense is going to be a problem, and I think whoever they go against in round of 16, I think that's the end of them. I could be wrong. I've underestimated this Portuguese team quite a bit.
Oh, I think Portugal's going to go far. I think Portugal and Spain are the 2 best European sides, and I think they'll both, one or t'other, will go very far indeed.
We'll see.
Yeah, they've got a good blend of youth and experience. I mean, my God, do they have experience in the combined age of 77? Is it between Ronaldo and Pepe?
Oh yeah,
insane. But
it's never about the talent. I mean, I agree that talent-wise, yeah, the team's in this tournament. It's just I don't trust that team. I don't trust their coach to put together a team, and I think Ronaldo is going to be their downfall. I think should be coming off the bench or play in this tournament.
He should be. So we'll wrap up Group H. I think as it stands, it's looking like Uruguay will actually go through ahead of Ghana if they're 2-0 up. Portugal finishing top in Uruguay. So then looking at Group G, Brazil's group.
Uruguay versus Brazil probably then, which will be interesting. Regional derby.
Yeah, that will be spicy. And then
which presumably Brazil just.
Yeah, you can't look past that.
And then Portugal versus Granit Xhaka?
Maybe. Again, so Serbia versus Switzerland, right? That's the last game. Whoever come out on top goes through.
Yeah, exactly. Which I'm assuming is going to be Switzerland.
I think that's likely, but it's hard to be certain about anything.
I mean, Serbia scored another, probably, there have been some great goals at this tournament, but probably the best team goal, I think, that was finished off by Mitrovic. Yeah. It was a lovely, lovely, lovely goal. Was it against Cameroon in that 3-3 thriller?
Serbia, they can score some pretty goals, but they had to lead right back to Cameroon. That was weird. One of the defenders forgot what offside traps is. I think it's likely going to be Switzerland, but it's hard to be certain about these things. I think Switzerland.
And then there's Cameroon, who are still they're good value, good team.
They're in it. they have good players.
It just feels like such a wide width between Brazil and everyone else in that group. Really does.
It does.
Neymar is injured right now. We'll see when he comes back. I think he'll be back for the knockout rounds. Brazil look a little bit lacking creatively without Neymar, but also it was against Switzerland, who stifles you.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah. Famously boring.
It's hard to play against Switzerland. You have Granit Xhaka, this maniac, who's now coming at you with full force. And then behind him is Manuel Akanji, who's mean and big and fast.
Yeah, Switzerland's are decent, right? I mean, Xhaka's great when he plays for Switzerland. It's actually increasingly great when he plays for Arsenal as well. So he's having his moment. I've got a soft spot for them. I really hope they go through.
And actually,
I think. Yeah, go on, Bing.
No, I was going to go too far forward. You go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. Switzerland, they'll go through.
What did our Predictatron say at the beginning?
What did the what?
Our Predictatron. What had we predicted?
We all said Brazil, Switzerland.
Oh, okay. So yeah, we were all aligned with our initial assumptions.
Good. Actually, we all said Portugal, Uruguay, except for Bing, who did Uruguay, Portugal.
Okay, well there you go.
I said don't trust this Portugal team. I think
everyone's being blinded by their hatred of CR7, and it's not.
I don't hate Cristiano Ronaldo as a player. I just think he sucks now.
Yeah, he's just a bad human being, basically.
Like he is a bad human being, but that's irrespective of what I think of him as a player. I just don't think he's a good player anymore either. Anyways, I have to go into that again. I think they go out to Switzerland in the round of 16 if that's the matchup.
Yeah.
If it's against Serbia, then I think I'd pick Portugal. Against Switzerland, I think they go out against Switzerland.
We've done a comprehensive roundup.
We have indeed 60 games. We've covered them all.
Yeah, and not bad, right? Like, in 100 minutes. Not bad for a lot of football.
Yeah. I'll wait for my call from the BBC. Gary Lineker's looking a bit old these days.
Oh, but you wouldn't.
New blood in there.
You wouldn't. The housewife's choice.
You guys scared?
I tell you who I'd kick out of the goddamn commentary box is Jermaine Genius.
Oh, fucking hell.
Stick to the one show, mate. Thank you very much.
Who's been your pick of the sort of internationals that have been invited in?
Commentators.
The guest commentators. Who's been your pick? Your pick of the guests?
I've enjoyed. I did enjoy De Jong. If not because I googled his karate kick on Jabi Alonso many times, which was hilarious. Yeah. I like the parade of vaguely familiar Welsh players like Gabidon.
Yeah.
Danny Gabidon.
Yeah. And then my favourite was a bald Didier Drogba.
Yeah, I didn't recognise him. I mean, wow.
Bizarre. Yeah. But a friend of mine pointed out that he paused the TV and said you can see the hairline starts way back. So a decision was made when his luscious locks were receding.
I'm always pleasantly surprised. I'm always very happy to see Jurgen Klinsmann on my screen again every international.
The Iranians were not. The Iranians were about to crucify that guy.
Do either of you, as we're wrapping up, do we have? I've mentioned a few goals that have been my favourites, but do you guys have favourite goals or moments of the tournament so far?
I think the liberation of Saka just after last time we'd seen him in an England shirt, what happens, and just seeing that joy and beauty of those two goals and the crowd loving him, just erasing all that Euro pain was as an England fan was lovely to see for sure.
Well, without pissing on that bonfire, I mean, how many of those fans that are there were the ones sending those awful tweets to him? And
well, yeah, I know. The fickle England football fan.
Well,
yeah,
and somewhat racist. I mean, selfishly, my moment, of course, has to be Christian Pulisic, in which he sacrificed potentially his balls to score that goal against Iran.
Oh, that looked painful. My God.
He went for it. He still went for it. Guy's an American hero.
He what do they call him? The LeBron James of soccer or something like that?
No, not anymore. We have other players. But that goal took guts. It's a very American style goal. It took guts.
Well, it was Clint Dempsey was your previous hero.
Yeah. look, these guys work hard for the American jersey. They care. That's what
They do indeed.
what we can ask for. I think in terms of actual quality of the goal, yeah, the Luis Chavez free kick is pretty amazing.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
I also like Enzo Fernandez's goal against Mexico.
Yeah.
Without miss another sitter.
I think the problem is that we were on holiday last week, so a lot of the group games were during like early morning or during the day, so we were just watching highlights, and I think that gives you, I mean, you're judging goals, right, but I think without the context, I think the context is everything, like what the pressure was like, what the preceding play was like, so I don't really like to comment. The only real matches we watched live were the England ones, so
yeah, I do think neutral goal shots.
I'll have more commentary on the R16 matches. Faux show.
Yeah, well, the football's just a bit more manageable. 60 games.
Jesus Christ.
It's a lot.
Well, this has been a pleasure. An absolute joy. I'll try and get this out tonight so that people have it before the R16s kick off.
Thank you.
And can laugh at Ireland.
You mean person? It's just for Xander.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe Neil will listen in. Actually, he can join us today.
Skywalter has been listening to Canada stuff. Canada's out now. Yeah, I think there's a couple people who's interested in this bullshit
chit chatting.
Yeah. Look, I put it out to the listeners. I watch quite a bit of football and I do research. But whatever I say don't take that seriously. Don't actually bet money based on anything I say. Okay?
Well, like I say,
I'm just rambling.
Bet money. I am number 10th out of 198 in the work league, so we'll see how I progress. But that's pure soccer bants being tested.
If you lose money because of me, it's not my fault.
I have to say, we've got our team offsite tomorrow and Tuesday, and we've got a big dinner tomorrow night, and I've got my Berg Camp Classic Christmas jumper. I'm feeling it, so I might send you that. Yeah, it's a thing of joy to behold.
Oh, lovely.
It's also like a single person fire hazard. I mean, it's just pure polyester, but
yeah, watch out near any candles or anything.
Exactly. All right, boys, well, enjoy the rest of today's matches, and speak to you, I guess, whenever the R16 concludes. We'll see what we're on.
Thank you for joining us, listeners. We love you, and we'll see you soon in a week's time when we will know
if any of us are still in the tournament.
Yeah, Japan-Morocco final. Look forward to it.
That'll be fun.
All right, posse out.
Take care, guys.
Today I feel walk.
Okay, now Craig's recording. Explain yourself, Bing. What happened to Canada? The hidden jewels of the tournament, along with Uruguay.
I perfectly admit I was randomly bad. I was crazy bad man. Like when I was saying Canada was going to talk. It's fine. I mean, I feel like they played. I don't know. They played fine in the first game. They should have won that game. It's a bunch of peak kids. Their front line. The average age is 20, 21, 22.
It'll be interesting next World Cup if they qualify, right? I mean, there's a lot of potential.
They definitely qualify and host the games next.
Yeah. Oh, that's of course. Yeah, they're in that joint bid, aren't they? North America, the NAFTA bid.
Yep. So they definitely are.
He is very handsome.
Are we talking about Gary Lineker here? I've developed a real Gary Lineker crush in this World Cup, and I've never had it before. And I don't know what's going on.
Has nothing at Olivier Giroud.
I don't know. And I've never fancied him before. He's on TV now. He's got these aviator glasses on. I'm just thinking, maybe it's age. Maybe I've aged into Gary Lineker.
Do you also have a thing for Paul Hollywood from the Great British Bake Off?
Fuck off. My husband just said if she does, I'm divorcing her. Sorry, back to football.